और 1991 में भी कांग्रेस ने जो कुछ भी किया उसके लिए भी क्रेडिट भी चाहिए, गला दबाने के लिए भी क्रेडिट चाहिए और गले से हाथ उठाने के लिए भी क्रेडिट चाहिए, while having great understanding of economics. This is the kind of specialization that leads libertarians who identify as libertarians to be absolutely fucking irrelevant in India. This is why their great ideas in economics doesn't translate to the real life in India.
Aigiri nandini nandita medini vishwa vinodini nandinute Girivaravindya shirodini vasini vishnu vilashini jishnunute.
So you all have heard of the Swatantra Party, right? This is someone writing about the Swatantra Party, and that's being promoted on The Wire, which is a very left-wing portal in India. But they are obviously promoting it because they think at least it's a counter to this problematic Hindu fascism that's going on. But see how still out of touch libertarians in India are. So the article was just loaded today only. It's called What the Rise of Swatantra Party Says About the Possibilities of Indian Politics. Projects like Swatantra Party can help us imagine alternative possibilities and solidarities. Okay, अब solidarity मरवा रहा है libertarians के साथ. भोसरी के जब power में आएगा leftist, तब आके सबसे पहले libertarians का गाड़ मारेगा. Solidarity. To check the worst excesses of the present, even if they stand far apart from our utopias. This article is written by Aditya Balasubramaniam. It's not really an article, it's an excerpt from his new book. Economic liberalization and the ascent of Hindu nationalism have characterized Indian politics and economy since the 1990s. A wave of anti-incumbency took down the Congress-led United UPA coalition government in 2014. The verdict brought the BJP a majority in the Lok Sabha on the back of a campaign targeting the corruption of the ruling party. It is in this context that the Swatantra Party of 1959 to 74, long forgotten, has returned to public memory. Swatantra Party was a truly libertarian and freedom of speech, all the freedom kind of individualism kind of oriented party in India. Calls for the party's revival have been made by everyone from Amartya Sen to Ramchandra Guha. All the commies are asking for a libertarian party to come back. Okay, who do they think they are fooling? Of course, they are fooling some people. While the two have disagreed on the manner in which one may appropriate India's past, both are committed to religious pluralism and have unambiguously condemned the BJP on grounds of majoritarian ideology and practice. Okay, majoritarian ideology and practice नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा लिबर्टेरियनिज्म में? लिबर्टेरियनिज्म अगर आइडियली सोसाइटी लिबर्टेरियन होगा तो वहां पे मेजॉरिटेरियनिज्म नहीं होगा. आइडियली लिबर्टेरियन सोसाइटी में आके माइनॉरिटी राइट्स के नाम पे हम 5000 करोड़ का मद्रासा एजुकेशन का बजट बनाएंगे. वहां पे तो मेजॉरिटेरियनिज्म ही तो होगा. In a public address, Amartya Sen expressed his wish that the Swatantra Party would be revived, who is by the way a Trinamool supporter now. Ramchandra Guha has asked whether India has any conservative intellectuals to speak of and has pointed to Sri Rajagopalachari as a worthy model for a rejuvenated Indian conservatism. Okay, now this, what he just said about Ramchandra Guha is absolutely pissing me off. Ramchandra Guha, when he said that where are the right-wing intellectuals, he said this I think in 2015 or 16, right before Sanjeev, Sanyal, Jesai Deepak, Vikram Sampath started writing these books, and now we have a plethora of conservative intellectuals speaking in favor of conservatism. Not that we have enough voices in favor of economic right wing, but even then we have some. Rajiv Mantri and Harsh Madhusudan's books, Sanjeev Sanyal, etc. But what's pissing me off more is that Ramchandra Guha, people like him, seem to not know that there existed a person called Sitaram Goel. The biggest guilt we share collectively today in India is that we let a person like Sitaram Goel disappear into obscurity. Everyone who has not read Sitaram Goel has no idea what kind of brilliance we missed. He should have been celebrated in society. He should have written countless books. He already wrote countless books anyway, and they should have been taught in schools and universities. He should have been a mainstream person. His articles should have been thronging the newspapers all day. For some reason, this libertarian is talking about a quote from Ramchandra Guha from about a decade back. So Guha has asked whether India has any conservative intellectuals to speak of. The Wire also is pretending like there is no conservative intellectual in India. Though neither would join such a party or even vote for it, they believe that it could help protect democratic institutions. See, खुद का चुतियापा already openly बोल दिया. Okay, Ramchandra Guha, Amartya Sen agree that they wouldn't join this Swatantra Party, but they would help in checking BJP basically, or any party ideally in a hypothetical situation that takes care of the majoritarian views. Okay, उसका check के तौर पे एक स्वतंत्र party चाहिए for just using them as a toy, not because they believe in those values at all. This is the problem with libertarians, that they get fooled by these people. Look how sinister the Wire is. They are promoting these things blatantly when they know that everything that libertarian stands for, the wire opposes, though neither would join. Okay. Free economy and the Swatantra Party came to life after India won freedom from British Raj, once the consensus forged among anti-colonial nationalists of diverse persuasions broke down. By the end of the 1950s, new economic interests had emerged, and the Nehruvian model of planned developmentalism encountered roadblocks. As India's literate public expanded in size, ideological entrepreneurs representing various causes across India's urban spaces came together to critique Indian political economy and economic policy during the second plan period. Okay, now what would Amartya Sen or Ramchandra Guha say about these periods? They would say it was fucking heaven. पूरा मिठाई का बारिश हो रहा था ऊपर से पूरा 1947 से 1991 तक, और 1991 में भी कांग्रेस ने जो कुछ भी किया उसके लिए भी क्रेडिट भी चाहिए, गला दबाने के लिए भी क्रेडिट चाहिए और गले से हाथ उठाने के लिए भी क्रेडिट चाहिए. They drew upon Cold War era discourses of neoliberalism and tried to reconcile them with India's history and current conditions. Interacting in associations and writing in periodicals, they threshed out their own common sense ideas to help make the economy the new domain for debate on the nation. Their free economy offered an ideological foundation for Indian conservative politics to develop in a distinctively mid-20th century from that blended an anti-communism, which invoked the fear of totalitarianism with advocacy of unfettered commercial exchange and the defense of property. Situated in, protecting life, liberty and property is the only job of the government. That's the American view. Situated in distinct contexts of region, language, caste and political economy, the keyword free economy took on multiple meanings as it circulated, moving across metropole and mofussil alike. Most clearly, it meant opposition to the socialistic pattern of society, which is loved by Ramchandra Guha, Amartya Sen and The Wire, which Rajagopalachari dubbed Permit and License Raj. At the time, no other party explicitly disavowed the ruling party's socio-economic objectives. Free economy could also mean N.G. Ranga's self-employed economy of peasants, Masani's country of free enterprisers. It could be to those Indians who took it upon themselves to write to the Swatantra leadership a rhetoric for the expression of economic resentment. Of course, free for some meant unfree for others. The unspoken dimensions of the free economy discourses point to a patriarchal household of division of labor, patterns of low-caste exploitation, and not much freedom for the woman. Free economy's ambiguity allowed it to serve as a point of consensus, agreed upon by diverse figures, whose social commitments ranged from cosmopolitan individualism to a parochial family orientation. The lowest common denominator of the varying visions of free economy were a decentralized economy with strong private property rights, which prioritized small industry and embraced agriculture. An anti-statism rather than anarchism pervaded these visions of the Swatantra Party, which is absolutely opposed by Amartya Sen, Ramchandra Guha, The Wire. The state would avoid its own commercial activity in such an economy and create a supportive environment for private economic activity when necessary. It would not occupy the commanding heights of the economy. The partisans of free economy interacted with libertarians and neoliberals in the Western world, finding occasional overlap in their concerns. In fact, the content of their formulations shared more with those of American individualist anarchists than neoliberals. Indian protagonists engaged more with the polemical content of neoliberal utterances rather than theories of institutional design. They appropriated elements of these discourses for their political aims as a layering over of their own economic ideas to respond to official Indian discourses on economy. This helped them wage a battle of ideas against the threat of communism. This is the author. Free economy became relevant for India's democracy as a platform for a project that this book has described as opposition politics embodied by the Swatantra Party. This was at one level an idea of an economically conservative party to balance out India's one-footed democracy, imagined most coherently by Rajagopalachari by tracing antecedents in the Indian Libertarian. Rajagopalachari's stature and appeals to dharma and ordered progress played a crucial role in attracting interests for this project across a range of political actors. Next, opposition politics rejected the anti-politics of development. Okay, anti-politics of development, this is very important. I mean, things we agree with. It involved disseminating free economy in Indian language publics and attaching it to a concrete political project. As they entered the world of party politics and elections, Swatantra's leadership rewrote free economy for a middle-class, rights-bearing citizen. To win popular support, the party tapped into a vein of discontent around issues such as inflation and taxation to establish itself as an alternative political player at the all India level. But how could they? क्योंकि स्कूल में तो भोसड़ी के कार्ल मार्क्स पढ़ाया जा रहा है. इन्फ्लेशन होता है किस लिए? तुम्हारा पॉवर्टी हो रहा है किस लिए? बेकारी हो रहा है, बेरोजगारी हो रहा है किस लिए? इसका जो आंसर है लोगों के दिमाग में, वही तो पूरा 180 डिग्रीज ऑपोजिट है. तो स्वतंत्र पार्टी कैंपेन करके क्या करता? सिलेबस में तो पूरा चुतियापा भर दिया. It provided an economic education for voters from the lettered public and managed to mount what was at the time the largest organized political challenge to the Congress. As it did so, it drew on antecedent practices, most of them associated with the nationalist movement. These ranged from propaganda to mass protest. These efforts courted responses that showed how, in certain quarters, people understood opposition to the Congress as a forum for claim-making and expression. Finally, opposition politics meant using India's institutional political machinery to forge coalitions and fight for free economy from elected office. Swatantra mobilized sections of the populace and used India's political institutions to provide checks and balances to the party in power before the elections of 1971 swept it away. Democracy is too often invoked to signify not merely a procedure of rule but also a set of values, freedom, rights and progress among them. This conflation can mislead us and compromise our understanding of how distinct projects of democracy have emerged and unfolded. In India, the introduction of democracy before industrialization or the advent of mass literacy could mean that elections merely turned feudal relationships converted into legislative seats. Exactly what happened. No better example exists than the Maharani Gayatri Devi's thumping victories under the Swatantra Party banner. At the same time, democracy could carry the promise of emancipation for the masses and mean unprecedented empowerment for historically disadvantaged groups like Dalits. Across the world, the recent rise of ethno-majoritarianism regimes has taken place in both democratic and undemocratic fashion. पहली बात है, कहाँ पे ethno-majoritarian regimes recent times में उठा है? What is he talking about? Either he's talking about Bolsonaro in Brazil or Trump. I don't know much about Brazilian politics, but Trump's movement is not an ethno-majoritarian regime. It may be a majoritarian regime. Why are black people's votes increasing for Trump every day? Black conservatives का YouTube चैनल भर गया black conservatives से only after Trump came to power. ये है ethno-majoritarianism. और कहाँ का एग्जाम्पल दिया जा रहा है यहाँ पे? ethno-majoritarianism जहाँ है वहाँ 2000 साल से है, 1400 साल से है. सऊदी अरेबिया, अफगानिस्तान is ethno-majoritarian, it's still ethno-majoritarian. ये recent rise of ethno-majoritarianism क्या है? Or he's talking about India as well. India is ethno-majoritarian. This insanely low understanding of culture, religion, society, race, while having great understanding of economics. This is the kind of specialization that leads libertarians who identify as libertarians to be absolutely fucking irrelevant in India. This is why their great ideas in economics doesn't translate to the real life in India. India is a peculiar case of the post-colonial society in which this process has taken place electorally, okay? So he's saying India has become also ethno-majoritarian, but it has happened electorally. अगर बीजेपी को एथनो-मेजोरिटेरियन लगे, अगर कोई बोले बीजेपी एथनो-मेजोरिटेरियन है, तो उसका बाकी कुछ चीज कैसे हम सीरियसली लेंगे? तो बाकी लोग बोलेंगे यार तुम्हारा मारो साले गोली, तुम्हारा लिबर्टेरियनिज्म का माका, क्योंकि वो तो बीजेपी का उत्थान को बोल रहा है एथनो-मेजोरिटेरियनिज्म. Consistently peaceful transfers of power have taken place between regimes for 7 decades, but the Indian example also points to the risks that endure even after procedural democracy becomes ingrained in the post-colony. Projects like Swatantras can help us imagine alternative possibilities and solidarities to check the worst excesses of the present. Worst excesses of the present, okay? 3,000 crore madrasa education budget in center and 5,166 crore madrasa education budget in West Bengal. That's ethno-majoritarianism state going on in India. Projects like Swatantras can help us imagine alternative possibilities and solidarities to check the worst excesses of the present, even if they stand far apart from our utopias. Accepted with permission toward a free economy, Swatantra and Opposition Politics in Democracy, India by Aditya Balasubramaniam. What a fucking irrelevant guy. Jaya Jaya he Mahishasura Mardini Ramya Kapardini